Hello, you are watching The Street View here on Better Future Production, and I am Lamin El Sanyang. Drug consumption amongst teenagers is in the rise at an increasingly alarming rate. We are talking about 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds. These kids have not only taken to cigarette and cannabis, but also alcohol. The question here is, why are kids taking to drugs? What is the way out, and what are the consequences on our society if nothing is done to sort out this matter? Well, this is The Street View, so come down with me to the University of the Gambia as I seek the opinion of the university students on this matter.
Hello, my name is Fatou Sanyang, a journalism student at the University of the Gambia, first year, second semester.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sanyang. Recently, we've seen lots of teenagers resulting into drugs, and such as alcohol, cigarette, cannabis. What do you think is the cause?
Parental care is lacking, the internet that they're exposed to, and a whole lot that is happening in our society. When I say parental care, is that most of the parents are neglecting their children nowadays to do whatever they want because they are busy with the struggle. So leaving at home very early and coming back at night, you wouldn't even check on your child, what they're doing, what they're up to, or who they have been interacting with. So parental care also is a cause, and also the internet that they're exposed to. When they go to YouTube, nowadays children, when they go to YouTube, they don't watch something that will educate them. Most of them, I said, they will go to content that are like they would want to watch videos that that will enlighten them instead of videos that will educate them. So a lot of bad things that they're exposed to at the internet contribute to it.
And what are the consequences that are attached to this drug abuse if it is not solved? What are the things that may come along as a result of this drug abuse by teenagers?
A lot of consequences are attached to it because if a brother is doing it and the younger brother is watching him do that, obviously would want to do it because there is no action taken, there is nothing done about it. So a lot of teenagers will be doing it without knowing its effect in their life. So they will be smoking, stealing, and looking at our society today, a lot of these teenagers that are smoking cannabis, a lot of these teenagers that smoke cigarettes are the ones that turn into be violent people around the society. They fight people, they go around, some of them turn to be thieves. So it's really bad in our society if nothing is done about it.
So what is it that can be done about it in order to solve this problem? What is the way out?
Parents should step up, the government, and any individual that can help. Because nowadays, you would not see a child smoking cannabis and tell them, why are you doing it? They will obviously tell you that, my parents are not telling me, who are you to tell me what to do? So government should put in policies on the importation of drugs that are illegal, and also cigarette that they should make it expensive that young children will not be able to afford it. If cigarette is cost $10, not every child will be able to afford it. So it is cheap. That is why most of the children are able to afford it. Parents also should try to put their children's interaction, where their children go to, what their children do. They should put all those into consideration. They should have time for their children. They should educate their children. They should enlighten their children on the life outside there because they know how the society is. They know how the world is going right now. So they should step up.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sanya.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you tell me your name, please?
Thank you. I am Ibrahim Aboy. I'm a fourth-year English language student, University of the Gambia, and of course, an aspiring Secretary General candidate for Team Alliance for the upcoming University of the Gambia Students' Union elections 2021.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boy. Recently, we've seen an increased rate in the consumption of drugs by kids, teenagers in particular. What do you think is the cause?
Yes, that is a worry. In fact, this would be a national concern. Recently, we have seen a lot of young people abusing drugs, using it abnormally. It's a concern. If you look at it, the use of drug is what raises the rate of crime. You realize the crime rates are high. Most of these young people do not take part in crimes because they willingly want to, but due to the influence of drug. So drug abuse is one of the reasons why the crime rates are too high. And because the crime rates are high, we have seen a lot of we have seen a lot of deaths that could be avoided if the use of drug was controlled. So obviously, that's a worry to us.
Yeah. So what do you think is the reason why children are resorting to drugs instead of other activities?
Yes, so many things are surrounding these issues. What I'm giving out may not even be enough. But then I think one of the reasons is because, students, most of the young people, do not have control to say this,
Control by, what do you mean, parent?
Yes, I'm talking about parental control. That's one of the reasons. You realize that as parents, some of us, as parents, we fail to carry out our duties. You will see very young boys and girls, they will be using drugs. Sometimes it's not also lack of good parenting, but sometimes it is a fact that the parents do not serve as watchdogs to their children. A lot of parents are saying no to use of drugs, but their young ones are using it without their notice. That probably may be a reason why maybe they do not stay together, or probably they are not watching their young people very well. So, and then another also reason that lead to the use of this drug is peer influence. We have people who are drug addicts, they are adults, but they are recruiting these young people, putting them into things. Most of these children are using the drug, but they are not even conscious. You'll be surprised to know that some of them are 8, 13, 12, 15. Those people are not conscious of what they are doing, but because of the influence from an elder, is what is leading them into this mess. That's also another thing. And also another reason that leads to the use of drug is the accessibility. I believe, to me, one of the reasons why the young people are able to, the children are able to access drug is because it is accessible to them, or probably the rules that are surrounding the control of drug are not implemented to the core. If drug was very difficult for the young people to access, I don't think they will be in a position to abuse it.
So what do you think is the way out?
The way out, I'll go back to the law. I know the police force have been doing a lot of things to make sure that they mitigate the use of drug abuse, the use of drug, but then more can be done. Less control, the importation and exportation of drug. I think, just to go back to my point, one of the reasons why we are using drugs is because it is rampant in our society. And I think as the police can do a lot in trying to make sure that, drug is being minimized, the importation of drug and other things. They are doing a great job though, but more can be done. So the way forward is to prevent access to drug, just like any other person, like any person. That's one of the way. Two, also, to me, I believe in community policing. I want to believe, it is not only the responsibility of the security people, to safeguard the children. It's not about stopping them from using drugs. It's about safeguarding the future of this country. If these young people are allowed to abuse drugs, it may affect them mentally sometime in the future. And we like it or not, 50 or 70 years ago, this country is going to be in the hands of those people. So I call on the community to be the police of our own community. Let's make sure that we watch out. The young people who are going into drugs, we stop them. We can do this. We report the case, or we try to we advise them. So some of them, as I said, are doing it without their proper consent. As an elder, when you see them doing it, don't bully them. You may not bully, but advise them. If you advise them and they don't listen, report them to the authorities. The authorities can take charge of this to make sure that these things are mitigated. So to me, it's a collective responsibility as a society and as a country to stop all these all these unfortunate circumstances going around us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bo, for talking to us.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
Can you please tell me your name?
Okay. My name is Mahmoud Diallo, a student of the University of the Gambia, a third-year student under the School of Business and Public Administration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Diallo. Recently, we've seen teenagers resort into drugs at an increasingly alarming rate. What do you think is the cause?
As you said, the issue of drug abuse, it's alarming, and it has become a prevalent issue in this country. But in my own opinion, I believe there are a lot of factors responsible. And the parent one of all, I will relate it to the relationship between parent and child. Yes, to me, that is what I will relate it to. That is the parent one. If you see nowadays, the relationship or the time that parents have for their kids is very minimal. Most of our parents are working, so they find it very hard to find that valuable time to spend with their kids, to talk to them about some of the important, some of the fundamental things about life. So in knowing the fact that, yes, they don't have that time to spend with their children, they try to make up for that lost time, like by giving them money, thinking that money will somehow appease the children, whereas knowing that money don't discipline. Another cause that I believe is the influence of the internet. The influence of the internet and then the advancement in technology. To me, yes, because I relate it to saying parents don't have enough time to spend with kids. The kids are left at the detriment of the internet. So whatever they see on the internet, they think it is practicable, it is acceptable, and it is normal. So in the absence of the parents, they try to, yes, they will say, let me give it a try. I am seeing it on the internet, so I can also give it a try. So gradually, they found themselves victims.
And what do you think, what are the consequences that are attached to these drug activities if nothing is done to curtail it?
Yes, Drug abuse, in fact, from the name drug abuse, we all know that anything that you abuse, there is nothing good that can come out of it. It is only at the detriment of the individual. And we've seen now the consequences of drug abuse in society. It is prevalent. Youths, I can say, just at one point in time, you will see just a youth, a full grown up going nuts, losing their memories, you understand. Some of them, it leads to stress, and then they will resort to stealing. High crime rates in society, we've been seeing it now. If you abuse drugs, at some point you will not have self-control of your own. So you will engage into activities that as a normal human being will not do. For example, killing, as we've been seeing of recent in this country, it's been happening. Killing of innocent souls, we've seen all these things. All these are consequences of drug abuse.
What do you think is the way out? How do we solve this problem?
To me, the way out is parents should try to balance their work life and the time that they have to relate with their kids, to give them proper guidance and counseling. And the government as well should put in place mechanisms, laws to punish people who are involved into such acts.
I think those laws are in place.
Yes, they are in place, but the issue is in this country we have laws that are enacted to deal with specific offenses or specific crimes. But are those laws being enforced fully? It depends on the enforcement. The enforcers, the law enforcers, should not relent. They should by all means enforce the law at its full cost on victims, on such victims.
Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you so much.
Can you please tell me your name?
I am Jaina Bambo, a third-year journalism student at the University of the Gambia.
Thank you very much, Madam Bob. Recently, we've seen children, teenagers in particular, resorting to drugs, different types of drugs, cigarette, alcohol, cannabis, and many other drugs. What do you think is the cause?
Well, to me, those are things that has different causes, because I personally per se will say that it is because they have seen those drugs at their disposal. For example, if these drugs are only available at places or at a rate where they cannot afford them, I will say like 5% of the youth will be able to afford it. The rest will not, because considering the economy of the country, not everyone is that financially okay. And also have to blame the government for it, because these are drugs that are not mostly produced in the country. Most of them are exported into the country. So I believe they have a hand in it, because they should make sure that these are things that should not be in the country, because when they are around, youth are always tempted to do things that is not good for them, even though they know that it is detrimental to their health. So I believe they should try in making sure that they regulate the flow in which these drugs are sent into the country. And even though they have to be in the country, which we cannot avoid totally, but there should be a control on how we use them, especially the youth. And also, I will also blame some of the youth, because this is something that they themselves know is not good for them, but then that is human for you. Even we know that drinking water is not good or drinking too much water is not good, we will still do it.
Yeah, so what are the consequences in the society, in our country as a nation, if this drug issue is not curtailed?
Well, we've already started seeing the consequences, because we have seen the high rate of crime in the country, that if you look deep into, you will realize that most of them are caused because of the too much usage of drugs from the youth. And I believe the rate in which the crimes are in, if actions are not taken in making sure that these drugs are not used by the youth, it is going to cause more problems than we're having right now.
So what is the way out? How do we solve this problem totally?
It's both sides need to be solved. That is, the government should, like I just mentioned, should look at the way these drugs are being imported into the country, and also the youth should try and deter themselves from such drugs, even though they are at their disposal. But this is something that has to do with them and their health. So they're not doing it to the government, they're not doing it to any other person, but to themselves.
Thank you very much, Madam, for talking to us.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. I'm Sehtijan Njai.
What position do you hold in the university student?
Okay, I'm Sehtijan. I work with UTG Management at Relations Office as Content and Outreach Officer. I am also welfare for University of the Gambia Students Union. Final year journalism, final semester journalism student.
Thank you very much, Saiti Chan. Lately, we have seen students, kids in particular, and teenagers resorting to drugs. What do you think is the cause?
I mean, first of all, before coming to the cost, I think I will just have to make a few comments to say that it's really disheartening seeing our youths getting really involved in drugs and being involved in drugs and so on. So coming into the cost that you ask, I think, most of the cost is peer influence, especially students. You could go to school, perhaps see a couple of your friends being involved in it, and that could be a way to say, let me give it a try. Let me give it a try, and let me give it a try. So I think also the lack of parental guidance, because, I wouldn't say there is no home trained to these children, but that is really lacking. There should be that consistent and systematic monitoring from parents to their children. You should really be monitoring your children to make sure that you know on daily basis what they're involved in and so on. If you are able to find out that they are into drugs and so on, you will then be able to stand in a better position to make sure you eradicate that or to stop it instant. Here in the Gambia, it is really sad that you see parents not reporting to the schools of their children. Lately, it's really sad that your student will be enrolled in a particular school, but you will not even take a time, let's say a day in a week, just to go and look at the activities that your child is involved in.
Basically, since parents do not go to school to find out the whereabouts of their students, right?
Exactly. You don't really monitor how your children is behaving at school, what he's been involved. And I think based on experience, if you look at parents that have been doing such, like parents that have been going to schools, you will be able to evaluate and see the difference that those children that their parents monitor, what they're able to produce, and those that are just dumped into schools and then left to operate in anyhow they want to be.
Yeah, so these teenagers, they are not only taking to cigarette and cannabis, but also alcohol lately. Are you surprised?
I am not surprised, because in as much as they've been involved in cigarette, cannabis, that is how the system will elevate, and they kept on moving. But I also, blame the market, because there is not really much control in the market. If there was really a control for you to tender a document before a particular drug is sold to you, for instance, alcohol, you will have to tender a document to say that you are above 18 or beyond being called a kid for you to be able to get that. I think that could also be another mechanism that not just parents or schools, but the government can embed it on operators, bar operators and other people, to make sure these are sold to not just, kids, yeah.
Yeah, and what do you think is going to be the consequences when this drug issue being consumed by teenagers is not curtailed?
We are going to have a low productivity of youths, because, most of our youths then will be really so much engaged into drugs that they will tend to forget some other developmental aspects that they're supposed to focus on. For instance, if you're supposed to go to school, graduate, and be able to take responsibilities in your family, you've spent more of that time being with your friends, involved into drugs and so on. You're wasting a lot of time, and the world is moving. So I think it is very, very important that we factor all of those things out, that youthfulness is not forever. Obviously, we've seen our parents, people now that we call old people, they have passed through their youthful age, and then we will be able to distinguish. I think we have a lot to learn from people within our society. If you looked at, people that are able to make it in society, you will tend to see that their work started at a youth level. So people that are not also able to make it, you will at some point understand that they were not really doing what was expected of them at a youthful level. So I think it's really, really good that we're able to distinguish what is happening, to be able to, put all of it to fit in as people of this great nation.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you very much, viewers. This is all we have for you for today. And keep on watching Better Future Production. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. We'll see you later.